when framing up our cameras, we want to make sure that everything we want captured in our shot that we want to see in our final render is going to be seen. So that's what we'll discuss in this first lesson. This is seen Safe Frames start in your project files directory. What we have here is an animated camera. We're basically seeing through the shot camera of this scene. So it's just a character going through a little gag. Now we could see that the camera is pretty close, but we don't know how close it actually is. When it comes time to render this out, we don't have a good indication of what is going to be cut off and what is going to be shown. So to know for sure what's going to be shown in our render, we can turn on Safe Frames. That's underneath our camera menu in the viewport. If we were to head over to the top left, we can right click, and here it is right at the mid part of this menu, Safe Frames. Let's go ahead and turn that on. What we see now is a border that represents what's going to be seen in the render. So if we were to render this shot out, notice that's what's going to be seen. Alright, exactly what is in this safe frame border. So make sure that when you're working with your cameras that you have this turned on in your shot camera so you know precisely what you're about to render out. Because if you don't have this on, you may make a mistake where you cut out something very significant in your shot and you have to re-render, and that wastes a lot of time. So with that said, and with show safe frames turned on, what I'm going to go ahead and do is back up this camera to something a little bit more suitable. Now, if we were to go ahead and press Alt W, we have this two-panel layout. We have our shot camera on our left, the perspective on the right. That's how I like to work when animating cameras. To do this, you can head over to View, Viewport Configuration, and notice you have several layouts you can choose from underneath the Layout tab. And here's the two-pane layout. Alright, so what I'd recommend when working with a shot camera is to set up your camera that way, or actually whatever is suitable for you, but I find this to be a good workflow. Alright, so once you have chosen a good layout and you have Safe Frames on, you can go ahead and select the camera and edit it. What we'll do is use the keyframes that are already tied to this camera to edit what we're seeing here to correct this shot. So I'll go ahead and right click and head over to the curve editor with the camera selected. Just move the curve editor over. And I'll focus on the translate x-axis. Okay, so what we can do here is select all of the keys from frames 1 all the way to frame 104. Okay, so I'll go ahead and select all of those keys. I'll kind of adjust the curve editor so we can see what's going on. What I also like to do is head over to Option and turn on Interactive Update so we can see that update as we move our keys automatically. Alright, so with all of these keys selected, we can go ahead and head over to the Move Keys tool and switch that to the Move Vertical keys, and then just start to bring this back. And as we do, we can start to see now the framing of this shot is much better. You can see what's going on, and it's not too close, confusing the audience. Alright, so if we were to go ahead and head over back to the shot camera, we can hit play. See what this gives us. Alright, so the framing here is much better, and we're going to get more and more into what makes a good frame or a good camera angle and what we should stay away from. But for now, if you take anything away from this lesson, make sure to turn on Safe Frames so you don't accidentally cut out what should be seen in your render.